Most people think awakening means peace, meditation, and crystals. But real awakening, it's violent. It's the death of who you thought you were. When the veil lifts, you don't find light, you find the ruins of your illusions. The people you loved start to feel foreign. The goals you once chased feel empty. And the voice inside your head that once sounded like you starts to reveal itself as the echo of everyone else's expectations. This is why most people stay asleep, because comfort feels safer than truth. But for the few who wake up, there's no going back. You start to see the lies society runs on. Validation, fear, distraction. You stop playing along. You begin to walk alone. And that solitude, that silence, is where your real power begins to rise. In this video, we'll break down 7 truths only the spiritually awakened understand. Truths that will separate you from the masses, shatter your ego, and forge the clarity that no external chaos can touch. If you're ready to stop living in illusion and start walking in awareness, subscribe and let's begin. 1. Awakening isn't peace, it's destruction. Everyone romanticizes awakening. They picture calm mornings, soft music, and a mind free from chaos. But the truth is far darker and far more liberating. Real awakening doesn't start in peace. It starts in fire. When your consciousness expands, you don't ascend into light. You collapse into chaos. Every illusion you've ever depended on, your identity, your beliefs, your comfort, begins to crumble. You realize your job isn't purpose, your relationships were built on need, and your happiness depended on things that were never real. You wake up one morning and nothing feels solid anymore. You can't fake conversations. You can't tolerate noise. You can't even lie to yourself the way you used to. That's the destruction phase, the universe tearing down the structures that kept you asleep. You begin to see the world as it truly is, built on distraction, fear, and repetition. You realize how deeply manipulated you've been by media, by culture, by your own conditioning. And that realization hurts more than heartbreak, because you start to notice that awakening isn't bliss, it's grief. You're mourning your old self. You're burying the version of you that could still believe in lies. Most people never make it past this stage. They get a glimpse of truth, panic, and run back to comfort, back to the illusion. They'll say, I just want to be happy again. But happiness built on ignorance isn't happiness. It's sedation. If you felt that burning, that pull between clarity and chaos, you're not broken. You're transforming. Destruction isn't punishment. It's purification. The fire is only there to burn away what can't come with you. And once the smoke clears, you realize something no one else tells you. You had to lose everything false to finally meet what's real. Awakening doesn't give you peace at first. It gives you power. Because when your world collapses and you're still standing, you finally understand that peace was never outside you. It was waiting for you in the ruins. 2. Love without attachment is the highest power. Most people mistake attachment for love. They think holding tighter means caring more. They think jealousy means passion. They think control means connection. But that isn't love, it's fear dressed as devotion. Real love is freedom. It's the ability to stand beside someone without needing to own them. It's the maturity to let people be who they are, not who your ego wants them to be. Because the moment you cling, you stop loving, you start grasping. Attachment is built on fear, the fear of loss, the fear of replacement, the fear of being alone. But what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased or controlled. It chooses to stay. When you awaken, you start to see how most love in this world is transactional. People love based on what they get: validation, safety, attention. The moment that flow stops, so does their affection. It's not love, it's dependency. The spiritually awake understand this. True love has no hooks. It doesn't demand, it doesn't beg, it doesn't bind. It allows. And in that allowance, something miraculous happens. You experience connection without losing yourself. To love without attachment is to stand in full power, because it means your peace doesn't depend on another person's actions. It means you can care deeply without collapsing when they walk away. It means you've replaced control with trust. The ego can't comprehend this kind of love. The ego needs to possess to feel safe. But the soul knows better. It doesn't cling to what it already belongs to. You realize that love isn't meant to complete you. It's meant to complement your wholeness. You stop saying, "I need you," and start saying, "I choose you." That's a completely different vibration, one rooted in abundance, not scarcity. When you reach this level, you stop chasing forever and start valuing real. You understand that love isn't proven by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it transforms you. Some souls are meant to stay. Others are meant to awaken you and leave. Both are sacred. And here's the paradox. When you finally stop holding on so tightly, love begins to flow more freely. Because the universe only allows what you're not trying to control. The awakened man or woman doesn't love out of need. They love from overflow. They don't cling to presence, they honor choice. They don't seek ownership, they offer space. That's why their love feels magnetic, not desperate. Peaceful, not dramatic. Infinite, not temporary. When you master this truth, heartbreak no longer destroys you, it refines you. Because even loss becomes sacred when you understand that nothing real can ever be lost. Real love transcends fear, control, and time. It's not about keeping someone. It's about freeing both souls to grow, even if that means growing apart. That's not detachment out of coldness. That's detachment born from power. Because love that requires change was never love, and love that can't survive freedom was never real. 3. Isolation isn't loneliness, it's ascension. When you awaken, your world starts to quiet. The noise fades, the crowd thins, and suddenly, it's just you. At first, it feels like exile, as if life has punished you for growing. But what you think is isolation is actually ascension. You're not being abandoned. You're being elevated. Most people live on frequencies fueled by distraction, gossip, validation, entertainment, escape. Their conversations orbit comfort and comparison. But once your consciousness shifts, that energy becomes unbearable. You can't fake interest in small talk anymore. You can't pretend ignorance feels safe. And so, naturally, you drift. The spiritually awake don't withdraw because they hate the world. They withdraw because they can no longer breathe in its density. That silence you fear at first, it's sacred ground. It's the space where illusions die and truth begins to whisper. Alone, you finally hear yourself, not the noise of others' expectations, not the collective hypnosis of society, but your raw, unfiltered essence. And that realization changes everything. You begin to see that solitude isn't punishment. It's preparation. The universe removes what can't match your vibration because you're being recalibrated for higher ground. But here's the truth that few admit. This phase hurts. You'll miss connection. You'll crave someone who gets it. You'll scroll through memories and feel the pull of your old life. That's your ego gasping for oxygen. The soul, however, is still and patient. It knows you're being forged in silence, because ascension doesn't happen in crowds. It happens in deserts. That's where prophets, philosophers, and warriors have always gone, away from the world, into themselves. The cave, the mountain, the storm, all metaphors for isolation as initiation. When you embrace it instead of resisting it, something powerful happens. The silence starts feeding you instead of starving you. You begin to feel full in your own presence, whole, grounded. You stop waiting for company to feel complete. You stop explaining your solitude to those who mistake it for sadness. You start walking through life differently, calm, centered, unshakable. People will call you distant, cold, changed, and they'll be right. You've outgrown proximity to what drains you. The higher your vibration climbs, the fewer can follow. It's not arrogance, it's altitude. Few can breathe where you're going, and that's okay. You were never meant to be understood by those still sleeping. Solitude is where the awakened build their strength. Because when you can stand in silence without collapsing, you become unstoppable among the noise. So if you feel alone right now, remember this. It's not the end of the path. It's the height of it. Isolation isn't emptiness. It's refinement. It's the universe pulling you away from the shallow so you can dive into depth. Loneliness breaks man. Isolation builds gods. 4. The ego dies screaming, not silently. Everyone talks about ego death like it's some mystical, serene event, as if one day you'll meditate, see light, and your ego will quietly dissolve in peace. But that's a fantasy. The ego doesn't go quietly. It screams. It's the voice that's been running your life since birth, whispering who you should be, what you should want, how you should look, how you should feel. It's the identity you built to survive, not to awaken. So when truth starts to expose its lies, it panics. You'll feel it in every corner of your mind. It'll say, "You're changing too fast. You're losing yourself. You'll end up alone." It'll make you cling to comfort, chase validation, and justify your smallest fears. Because the ego survives through control, and awakening is the death of that control. You don't transcend the ego by ignoring it. You destroy it by facing the parts of yourself you've avoided your entire life. The envy, the pride, the fear, the lust for approval, the wounds you've hidden behind being strong. You stare directly into them, not with judgment, but with awareness, until they lose their power to manipulate you. That's what real awakening looks like, internal warfare. One moment you feel like light, the next you're drowning in shadows. You'll question who you are, what's real, and whether you're even sane. That's the ego's final tantrum. It's trying to survive. Because here's the truth, the ego doesn't fear death. It fears irrelevance. It knows that once you see through it, it can't control you anymore. It can scream, but it can't steer. And so it attacks. It tempts you back into distraction. It makes you argue, compete, perform, pretend. It'll have you scrolling for hours, comparing, defending, explaining, anything to keep you from sitting still long enough to realize you were never it. But when you stop feeding it, the shift begins. There's no explosion, no divine choir, just a quiet awareness that the voice in your head isn't you. It's just noise. The moment you stop identifying with it, it starts to die. And that death feels like freedom. You realize you don't have to defend yourself anymore. You don't need to prove, impress, or win. You don't even need to be right. You become calm in the presence of chaos. That's when you meet your true self, not the performer, not the persona, but the silent observer behind it all. The awareness that's always been there, waiting. This is why the ego's death feels violent, because it's the end of a false king. It ruled your mind for years, convincing you it was you. But now you're reclaiming your throne. Most people never get this far. They stop when it starts to hurt. But if you endure it, if you let the ego scream while you stay still, it eventually collapses under its own noise. And what's left is silence. Not emptiness, but power. You don't transcend the ego by rising above it. You master it by watching it die. That's not serenity. That's sovereignty. 5. Truth alienates before it liberates. Everyone says they want the truth until it costs them their comfort. Until it strips away the illusions that made them feel safe, loved, and normal. Awakening isn't just about seeing reality. It's about surviving it. When your eyes open, you stop belonging. You begin to notice what others ignore. The manipulation in systems, the emptiness in trends, the hollowness in people's words. You can't unsee it. You can't go back. And that's when truth starts to feel like exile. Because the truth doesn't set you free right away. First, it isolates you. The crowd runs on illusion. They need collective lies to feel secure. They call it culture, tradition, religion, or success. But at its core, it's programming. When you step outside it, you become dangerous. You threaten the comfort they've built their identity on. So they'll call you arrogant, cold, detached, lost, because your clarity exposes their confusion. Your detachment threatens their need to belong. That's the paradox of awakening. The more real you become, the more unreal the world feels. You look around and see people chasing ghosts. Attention, validation, pleasure, status. You'll see how everything they love is designed to keep them numb. And when you try to speak the truth, they'll treat you like a heretic. That's why all awakenings begin with loneliness. Because the truth strips away illusion, and illusion was what connected you to the crowd. But don't mistake alienation for failure. It's a rite of passage. The universe removes what no longer matches your frequency, and in that silence, you begin to build a new foundation, one made of awareness, not approval. You start to crave depth instead of distraction. You choose peace over company. You'd rather be misunderstood in truth than celebrated in lies. That's when liberation begins. The spiritually awakened understand. Freedom isn't glamorous, it's raw. It's the moment you stop asking for permission to see clearly. You stop trying to convince others. You stop debating. You stop waiting for validation. You simply know. And once you know, you can't unknow. That's why the truth feels like loss. Because it kills everything false inside you. The ego dies a little each time you choose clarity over comfort. But eventually, the pain fades. The solitude becomes strength, and the truth, once heavy, becomes light. You realize that truth was never meant to make you fit in. It was meant to make you free. You were never supposed to belong to a blind world. You were meant to walk ahead of it. Yes, truth alienates before it liberates. But that alienation is sacred. It's the silence before your evolution. The ones who endure that silence become unshakable. They stop needing the crowd's applause. They live aligned with something far deeper, conviction. And in time, that conviction attracts others like you, the rare souls who chose clarity over comfort, purpose over popularity, solitude over submission. When you meet them, you'll recognize them instantly, not by words, but by the calm in their eyes, the calm of those who have already paid the price for seeing. Truth will cost you everyone who prefers illusion, but it will give you yourself, and that's the highest form of liberation there is. 6. Stillness is the weapon of the awakened. In a world addicted to reaction, the calm man is terrifying. Everyone's moving, posting, proving, defending, chasing, desperate to be seen, to belong, to matter. But the awakened don't chase noise. They watch it burn. Stillness is not weakness. It's warfare. Because while the world runs on impulse, the awakened run on intention. The masses react, the awakened respond. That difference is everything. When you awaken, you begin to see how easily people are controlled. A headline triggers outrage. A post provokes envy. A rejection births insecurity. The system thrives on reaction because reaction is control. Every time you move without thought, you're a pawn in someone else's game. But when you become still, you stop being predictable. Stillness disrupts the algorithm. It breaks the pattern. It confuses manipulators who feed on emotional chaos. The moment you no longer take the bait, the game ends, because the ego of others can't survive without your participation. Stillness is the art of choosing power over panic. It's the space between stimulus and response, that silent gap where all mastery lives. Most people fear stillness because it forces them to face themselves. When there's no distraction, the noise inside grows louder. The mind panics, replaying regrets, fears, and unresolved desires. But the awakened don't run from this. They sit with it. They let the discomfort speak until it runs out of words. That's when clarity arrives. In that silence, you begin to see through manipulation. You notice how much of life's urgency is manufactured, how emergencies are just illusions designed to keep you reactive. You realize that stillness is the true rebellion because it cannot be rushed, sold, or swayed. The Stoics knew this. The monks knew this. The warriors of every era knew this. Movement without awareness is chaos, but stillness with awareness is control. Think about it. Every predator in nature knows how to stay still before the strike. Every strategist knows that silence is often the loudest move. Stillness doesn't mean passivity. It means precision. The awakened move differently. They observe longer, speak less, and strike rarely, but when they do, it's final. They've mastered the hardest discipline of all, not responding to everything that demands their attention. Because the truth is, the world loses its power over you the moment you stop dancing to its rhythm. The media, the crowd, the critics, they can scream, but if you don't move, they can't touch you. Stillness terrifies manipulators because it mirrors their chaos back to them. It shows them their lack of control. It reminds them they can't provoke what's already at peace. That's why awakened people seem cold. They're not numb, they're sovereign. Their energy doesn't leak into arguments, drama, or ego battles. They conserve it. They redirect it toward creation, not reaction. Stillness is not silence. It's strategy. It's the act of standing so firmly in awareness that the world bends around your calm. When the crowd rushes left, you stand still. When they panic, you breathe. When they seek noise, you cultivate presence. And eventually, people will start to notice. They'll feel it. Your calm will expose their chaos. Your control will make their impulsiveness unbearable. And that's when you'll realize stillness isn't just self-mastery. It's influence. Because true power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to move. It simply is. So while the world keeps spinning in panic, remember this. Stillness is not absence of action. It's the highest form of action. It's the moment you stop reacting like everyone else and start responding like no one else. 7. Death isn't the end, it's remembering who you are. Everyone fears death, but only because they've confused it with disappearance. The truth is, death doesn't erase you. It reveals you. Most people spend their lives building identities, names, careers, beliefs, reputations. They stack labels upon labels until they forget what's underneath. Death, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, strips all of that away. It doesn't end you. It ends your illusion. The ultimate awakening isn't about transcending the body. It's about remembering that you were never just the body. When you awaken, something strange happens. Small deaths start to occur. You lose people. Old dreams dissolve. Your past collapses. At first, it feels like loss, but it's actually unveiling. Every attachment that dies takes a layer of falsehood with it, until what's left is the raw consciousness that's been watching the entire story unfold. You realize, I am not this name. I am not these thoughts. I am not this pain. You are the one observing them all, the silent witness behind the noise. That's what real death teaches you. Not fear, but freedom. The body dies, the roles dissolve, but awareness? Awareness doesn't go anywhere. It's not born, so it cannot die. It's not defined, so it cannot be destroyed. It's the quiet watcher behind every lifetime, every story, every illusion of me. This is why ancient mystics smiled at death. They didn't see it as loss, they saw it as remembering. A homecoming, a shedding of layers until only truth remained. But here's the paradox. You don't have to wait for physical death to experience this. The spiritually awake die while still alive. They let their ego, attachments, and false identities crumble again and again until the only thing left is consciousness itself. And in that realization, fear vanishes. Because how can you fear the end when you finally understand you are infinite? The ego fears death because it's temporary. It knows it can't survive the awakening. That's why it clings to drama, competition, and self-importance. Anything to feel solid, anything to distract from the truth that it's just a costume. But when you stop identifying with the mask, you stop fearing what happens when it falls. You no longer live like someone counting seconds. You live like someone shaping eternity. You begin to treat life not as something to win, but as a performance, sacred, fleeting, beautiful. The applause doesn't matter anymore. The outcome doesn't matter. Only the awareness behind it all, the observer who came to experience, not to possess. That's the secret of death. It's not the end of life. It's the end of pretending you were anything other than life itself. The awakened understand this deeply. That's why they move differently, calm in chaos, grounded in loss, detached from fear. They've died before, in silence, in solitude, in surrender. And in that death, they found themselves unkillable. Every ending becomes a mirror of that truth. Relationships die, you remain. Dreams fail, you remain. The body ages, you remain. What could death possibly take from you when you've already remembered who you are? That's the final awakening, realizing that consciousness wears the world like a garment, and every death is just a changing clothes. So stop fearing the end. Fear living without ever meeting yourself. Because when you finally do, when the illusion drops and the silence takes over, you'll understand. You were never the actor. You were the awareness watching the play. You were never the storm. You were the sky that held it. You were never born. You never die. Death isn't the end, it's remembering who you've been all along. Spiritual awakening is not a gentle journey. It's a dismantling of everything you thought you were. Each stage, each lesson, each death along the way strips away the illusions you've been clinging to. From the collapse of your old self to the final recognition that consciousness is eternal, the path is as brutal as it is beautiful. The spiritually awake understand what most will never grasp. Life is not about holding on, controlling outcomes, or pleasing the world. It's about seeing through the veils of illusion, embracing the discomfort of truth, and walking a path that few dare to tread. They know that the ego, attachment, and fear are temporary, but awareness is infinite. If you've resonated with any part of this, it's a sign you're already on the journey. Pay attention to the lessons, observe your energy, and honor the process. The more you practice letting go, the freer you become, until you exist purely as the observer, untouchable by circumstance, untethered by expectation. Remember, life will test you, the world will challenge you, and your ego will fight you. But each trial is an invitation to remember who you truly are. If this spoke to you, comment below and share which stage of awakening you're in. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights that will sharpen your consciousness and guide your journey toward true freedom.